Unusual happened at the Capitol the other day. Usually the Capitol, the halls of the Capitol are filled with people coming in saying, don't raise my taxes. I don't want to pay any more taxes. I don't want to pay any taxes at all. This is an unusual group of people who came to the Capitol to say, we want to pay our fair share of taxes, and we're proud to pay our fair share of taxes. And many of us in our category are not paying our fair share of taxes, and we are all millionaires. It's a group called the Patriotic Millionaires. Morris Pearl, who's the head of that organization, joins us on our news line this morning. Hello, Morris. Good to have you with us.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Press. Thank you.
It's Bill, please. And so tell us about your visit on the Hill. I imagine these senators and members of Congress are surprised to see somebody coming in and saying, actually, we want to pay more taxes, or we don't think we're paying enough.
Well, it shouldn't be surprising, because the gross inequality that's increasing in our nation is really bad for everybody. It's bad for poor people, but it's also bad for rich people. Business people can't run businesses in a country that has like a small oligarchy of rich people and lots of poor people. So we need a robust middle class where everybody can make money and everybody can participate in both politics and the economic life of our nation. So I don't think it should be a surprise, but yes, you're right, it is a surprise, and that's why it's newsworthy.
Did you get a good reception and did you meet with any Republicans as well as Democrats?
We met with the staff people of several Republican senators. We didn't actually see any actual Republican senators. But yeah, and the staff people, it's always, from the Republican side, it's always, well, yes, big part of comprehensive tax reform. And that's what they mean. Well, we'll remove a few loopholes, like this carried interest loophole we were talking about, if we can lower taxes in general. And we just try to explain to them that we don't think taxes need to be lowered. Our nation is the most powerful nation in the world, not because we have less government, but because we have a government that does things for people.
When is there any particular legislation that you're supporting, or is it just in general the concept that we have to do something about income inequality and make those who can afford to pay their fair share?
The group was created, Bill, to urge the president to let the Bush tax cuts expire just for the wealthiest. As you know, we compromised in 2010. In 2012, that actually happened, became the law of the land. Since then, we've sort of expanded our remit to inequality more generally. Specifically, we're looking at this loophole that people who earn carried interest, primarily hedge fund managers, private equity managers, and similar asset managers, get to pay taxes on part of their normal income at capital gains rates, which are much lower than the regular rates that people like you who work for a living pay. So there is a specific piece of legislation that Tammy Baldwin and Sandra Levin and the Senate and House respectively are sponsoring to address that just ridiculous inequality. That's the one that even Donald Trump has been talking about being unfair.
Right. And that particularly applies to hedge fund managers, doesn't it?
Well, it applies to people who manage other people's money. Basically, if you invest money in a long-term, in something for the long term, you pay a lower tax rate. But people who just advise people to invest their money can sometimes also take advantage of that tax rate. So it's basically people in the asset management industry, hedge fund managers, private equity managers, and other similar things.
Now, yesterday on this topic, Hillary Clinton met with Warren Buffett, picked up his endorsement, and she talked about this issue. Here's Secretary Clinton yesterday.
I'm going to fight hard to try to implement what is called the Buffett rule. The Buffett rule says that millionaires should pay at least 30% income tax rates instead of 10, 15, 20, and I want to go even further.
Is she right, Morris?
Yes. Yeah, I think she's right and Warren Buffett has been in New York meeting with donors, prospective donors for the Clinton campaign also. So, yeah, I support, I agree with that. That what she's getting at is the fact that millionaires earn their income from sitting at home and just watching their stock appreciate in their portfolio, and they pay a lower tax rate than people who actually work for a living. and we think that it's inequitable. It's not fair, and we don't think that's right.
In the perfect,
as does Ms. Clinton.
Yeah, in the perfect world, or maybe not the perfect world, but what do you think should be the top rate for those who make for millionaires, those in that top 1 or 2%?
Well, I mean, our group isn't advocating for a specific top rate. We think that millionaires, people who make a lot of money, should pay more tax than people who make little money. The economy was extremely successful in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, when tax rates were much higher than they are now.
Yeah.
The tax rates in our country had been higher than 70% for much of our history, during which time we had huge expansions. So I'm not saying we need that today, but I'm saying we need equity. I think what people are complaining about is the unfairness of the tax rate. Mm-hmm. The fact that people who make a lot of money pay tax at a lower rate than people who make less money. So we think it's the gross unfairness and inequity in the system that's really making people just lose confidence that we have a fair system here in our country.
And I think we've also had enough years of waiting for the trickle down, right?
It doesn't trickle down.
Exactly.
That's not the right answer. People make money when lots of people in the economy have money to spend on things. Some of our members are Ben Cohen, who started Ben and Jerry's, who says, I need people who make enough money to be able to afford to buy premium ice cream. And that's what business people need, is lots of consumers who can afford to buy expensive stuff.
Yeah, you're putting the stuff out there. People can't afford to buy it, right? Ben Cohen, by the way. But Ben Cohen, one of the greatest people I've ever met. He's been a guest here in studio with us. Talk about a success story and a wonderful guy.
Yes, I agree.
On so many different levels. How many of you are there, Patriotic Millionaires? I just love the whole concept of it. And you come from all around the country?
Yeah, there's a couple hundred people that are actually paying members of our organization. Mm-hmm. We come a lot from the East Coast and the West Coast, and a small number from the states in the middle.
I'd love to attend one of those meetings.
Wouldn't that be
people.
Fun?
Yeah, I know. Keith, I know. I saw on the list Keith Mestridge, who's a good friend too from Amalgamated Bank, has been our guest here in studio.
Yeah, he lives right just outside of Washington D.C. He's one of our members and helps lead our organization. In fact,
right. Well, it's good. And people want to find out more. You can always go to patrioticmillionaires.org. And it's just nice to know, for those of us out there struggling month to month, that there are some people who are doing very well, who are thinking about us and saying the tax structure, the tax code has to be fair so that everybody does pay their fair share, and all of the money is not going to everybody, to those few at the very top. Morris Pearl, thank you so much for what you're doing, and thanks for your time with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's been a pleasure.
All right, Morris Pearl. He's the head of Patriotic Millionaires. Don't you love it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Love that message.